Be cool, be kind, be classy. A cupcake so sweet and sexy. Have fun and enjoy the journey. Just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. And not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade, sipping motions and lemonade. Cool heads will prevail, kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. There's a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Sack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and Machegas. Ridiculous that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proset, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcake's sweet and sassy. And not just a YouTube show. When you know, cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We are going to head on over back into Dedham, Norfolk Superior Court, where the trial of Dr. Harry Tuerk is underway for the day. We are going to start from the beginning. This way we get to FF through all of the breaks. For those of you not familiar with this murder trial, the show notes below this video have a very good summary of everything that has happened and everything that is being claimed in this case. And rest in peace, Katie McLean, who was killed in May of 2020 by Dr. Harry Tuerk, the world-renowned robotic urologist from Dover, Massachusetts. He strangled his wife either with malice aforethought and premeditation or in a heat of passion, and admitted to it, confessed. And many of the same investigators involved in the Karen Read case are also involved in the investigation of the death of Katie McLean. A lot of people say, what are we doing here if he confessed? And the answer is Kevin Reddington, who is his defense attorney, who you may remember from the Karen Read trial, he represented Jennifer McCabe, is shooting for a lesser included charge, trying to say that he snapped, this was a heat of passion killing, not a premeditated murder. So far, I think we've seen 8 witnesses in this case. And let's go back to Dedham, see what happened this morning. God save the Commonwealth. Call him Hammer Haircut Harry, because it looks like he got his haircut with a hammer in Norfolk County Jail, where he's been sitting since his arrest in 2020. And here is our new favorite judge. His name is Mark Hallal, Hallal. He is a Norfolk County Superior Court judge. He is very different than Judge Cannoni, and they are in the courtroom right next door to where the Karen Read jury is being selected, or across the hall. This is the small courtroom in which Karen Read's trial was held. They moved yesterday from another courtroom to this one. And here we go. Volume would be good, long crime. Low volume.
Hear ye, hear ye, all persons having anything to do before the Honorable Judge Hallal, Justice of the Norfolk Superior Court, now sitting in Dedham, within and for the County of Norfolk, for the transaction of criminal business. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and this honorable court. This court is now open. You may be seated.
For the record, before the court is Commonwealth versus Ingolf Tuerk, 20 CR 138. The parties that are present are 16 jurors are present. The matter is on for trial.
Excuse me. Good morning, jurors. Thank you for your patience this morning. I'm glad you were able to get in okay. Let me just ask you first, was everybody able to follow the instructions that I gave you at the end of the day yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, if you are not, please raise your hand. All right, no hands are being raised. We're going to continue on. We'll take a morning recess this morning, and then we're going to go a full day as I indicated yesterday. So we're going to stop for the day sometime around 4 o'clock. If you need a break for any other reason, just raise your hand. Okay, we've tried to set up this courtroom just like the other one as best we can, but obviously if you have any trouble seeing or hearing anything, again, just raise your hand and we'll try to rearrange things. Thank you.
He does remind me of
All right,
Stanley Tucci, this judge.
I'm
I'll allow
going to
it.
call its next witness.
Yes, Your Honor, the Commonwealth would call Anthony Vorres.
You just raise your hand. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you shall give to the court and the jury in the matter now pending shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Stand prior.
You may.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please state your full name, spelling your last name for the record?
Anthony Vorres, V as in Victor, O-R-R, E as in Edward, S as in Sam.
What's your date of birth?
10/18/1983,
Where do you live?
in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Do you work?
Yes,
What do you currently do for work?
I am a hotel general manager
How long have you been a hotel general manager?
for roughly over 3 years.
What are some of your duties?
I manage all aspects of a hotel operation, from guest facing to the back of house operations and all fiscal responsibilities of the property.
How long have you been in the hotel business?
Roughly 11 years.
Turning your attention to May of 2020, where were you working at that time?
The Residence Inn in Dedham,
Where is that located?
in Dedham, Massachusetts.
Do you know what street it's on?
I do not.
If I said 259 Elm Street, would that help refresh your recollection?
Yes.
How long have you been working at the hotel in May of 2020?
For a short period of time, I was there on a task force assignment. The property did not have a general manager at the time, so I was overseeing the property until the full-time general manager could be found and hired, which that individual was hired roughly around March. And due to the onset of the pandemic, I had to stay at the property because my original property couldn't afford to have me come back at the time.
So to be clear, you started at the hotel before the pandemic hit in March of 2020, is that right?
Correct. Roughly 2 weeks before the beginning of the pandemic.
And then once the pandemic hit, you were sort of forced to stay at the residence, is that right?
Yes, and when the new full-time general manager started, I stayed there in a support role, just helping with essential basic duties.
Can you describe the hotel?
Yes, it was a extended stay property, meaning that it was mostly for long-term guests. I can't recall how many rooms it was, but it was a nice, quiet property.
How many entrances and exits did the property have?
There was the main doors, and from what I recall, exit doors on both ends of the left and right of the building.
And in May of 2020, was there anything special about the main entrance based on the pandemic?
Yes, starting with the pandemic, the front doors were locked and guests needed to be walked in or buzzed in.
Would they be able to enter with their key card?
Yes, after check-in, they've been able to retrieve a key card, yes.
And in May of 2020, what was your role at the hotel at that point?
I was just there as essentially support. The general manager had been found, but because I couldn't go back to my property, I just assisted wherever the general manager asked me, whether it was covering the front desk or helping with other miscellaneous tasks.
So can you tell us a little bit about what you would do when you were in charge of covering the front desk?
Checking people in, checking people out, answering the phones. It was different from normal times because of the pandemic. It was a lot less formal. And because there was a smaller flow of guest traffic because of the pandemic, it was really just kind of manning the desk and just assisting the small amount of people that were coming through and leaving.
When you say it was a lot less formal, what do you mean?
In the sense that, normally a typical front desk, you're not sitting down or, you're dressed less formally just because of those small little things.
Can you explain to us what the process of checking someone in looks like?
Yes, normally you ask for identification, a form of payment, and essentially that's it. Those are the two key components.
At the time, how were reservations maintained? Was it a computer system, paper, or something else?
Computer system.
And are records of reservations routinely kept in the normal course of business at
Yes.
the hotel?
Yes.
And what do those records normally reflect?
The guest's name, their arrival date, their checkout date, any particular notes that the guest would like included on the reservation.
Turning your attention to May 6th of 2020, were you working on that day?
Yes.
At approximately 3:34 p.m., did you receive a reservation made under the name of Ingolf Tuerk?
Yes.
How was it made, if you can remember?
From what I recall, I believe he called into the hotel, seeing if we were open. A lot of hotels had closed during the pandemic, and I do recall making the reservation for him over the phone.
So you took that phone call?
Yes.
When was the reservation made for, if you can remember?
I can't recall the exact dates. I would say sometime in May.
And would the reservation information help refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach?
May.
Your Honor, just for the record, I agree with the exhibit as far as record kept in ordinary course of business.
All right. Do you want me to make a finding, or you're agreeing
It's up
to
to
it?
you, Judge. I'm just saying, I have no objection
All
to
right.
the document.
I'm handing you what was pre-marked as Commonwealth Exhibit 279. If you could take a look at that, please. Do you recognize it?
I do.
What do you recognize it to be?
A reservation for a Marriott-based property management system.
And when was the reservation made for?
It was made for May the 8th or May the 17th.
Who was the reservation's name under?
Ingolf Tuerk.
And were you working on May 8th when the defendant checked in?
Yes.
Do you see him in the courtroom?
Yes.
And could you please identify him with a article of clothing that he's wearing?
A striped tie, blue.
Your Honor, could the record please reflect identification?
Yes.
I would just note for the record, Your Honor, identification is not an issue, so it's not necessary to keep going through that.
All right.
Reddington doesn't want the witnesses to keep pointing at his client. That's what you call an in-court identification. Sometimes we see motions in limine about it, whether or not they're allowed to indicate the defendant, point him out. And so he's agreeing to stipulate to that, and he doesn't want anybody else pointing at his client.
Phone number was given for the reservation.
617-694-8962.
And what other information does that reservation contain about anybody else staying in the room?
Katie Tuerk, also in room, okay to give keys.
When the defendant checked in on May 8th of 2020, can you please explain what happened to the best of your recollection?
From what I recall, I let Mr. Tuerk into the hotel to check in, and I checked him in. And then I recall Mrs. Tuerk coming into the hotel afterwards.
Do you remember what she looked like?
Kind of reddish brownish hair, tall, slender.
What type of surveillance video did the hotel have in May of 2020?
There was a camera system. I can't recall how many cameras, but it was housed in the back of house. It's usually accessible by the property, the general manager. And it had footage of the check-in counter, various hallways, and other public access points.
What about the parking lot? Was there any camera?
I don't recall.
What about where the guest rooms are? Do you recall if there were any cameras in the hallways where the guest rooms were located?
Possibly. For that property specifically, I can't remember.
What about the camera in the front entranceway? Was there a camera there?
Yes.
And have you had the opportunity to review the surveillance video from May 8th of 2020 when you checked in the defendant and Katie Tuerk?
Yes.
Ms. Gilman, could you please put exhibit 278 on the screen?
Okay. And again, this has been agreed to?
Yes, Judge, I agree to all the videos.
Remember Ms. Gilman from the Karen Reed trial, the exhibit person.
Do you want the lights turned down?
Please, Your Honor.
Wonder if the video's altered. Oh, wait a second, sorry.
And that video we just watched, is that a fair and accurate representation of the defendant walking into the hotel on May 8th of 2020 in order to
Yes.
check in?
Yes.
Ms. Gilman, if you could please play the next video. Ms. Gilman, if you could please play the next video.
If you're not watching the screen, these are videos of Harry walking into the hotel, leaving the hotel, and then coming back with Katie. He's got a cooler. May 8th, 2020.
And was that the woman who you described as Katie Tuerk
Yes.
on the video with the defendant?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Gilman, could you please play the next video?
Here's a video of Harry coming to the desk, mask on, plexiglass up.
And is that just that video that was just shown, is that just a different angle of the defendant checking in on May 8th of 2020?
Correct.
Who else was in that video?
Prior?
Besides the defendant, who else? Were you seen in the video?
Yes, myself. Yes. Yeah.
And I noticed that there was some plexiglass
Mhm.
across the reservation. Was that always in place?
For the pandemic, yes, because it was the early time of the pandemic.
So that plexiglass was placed after the pandemic hit, is that correct?
Correct.
In that video, we also noticed that you got up from your seat behind the reservation desk and walked over to the door. What were you doing at that time?
So let Mr. Tuerk in.
And is that because the doors were still had to be locked because of the pandemic?
Correct.
I have no further questions to this witness.
I have no questions, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. You may step down.
Thank you.
No cross. This was around the time they were reconciling Peggy's right. And that's why we see Katie going into the hotel with him. This was May 8th of 2020.
Do you want to call your next?
Ailish Wilkie, please.
Follow me, please.
The jury in the matter now pending shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I do. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Could you please state your name and spell your first and your last name for the record? Sure. It's Ailish Wilkie, Ailish, and the last name Wilkie. And are you employed currently? I am. How are you employed? I work for Beth Israel Leahy Health as their Director of Patient Safety and Risk Management. What is patient safety and risk management? It's a position within healthcare that ensures that we provide the safest possible care to our patients while adhering to their rights as patients and also minimizing risk to an organization. And prior to working at Israel, where did you work? I worked for the Steward healthcare system, primarily at Norwood Hospital. How long did you work for Norwood or for Steward in general? I worked for Steward for approximately 4 years, Norwood for approximately 3 years. And what was your position when you were at Norwood? I was the Director of Quality, Patient Safety, and Risk Management. So essentially what you just described? Yes. Okay. And directing your attention to May 15th of 2020, did you become aware that Dr. Ingolf Tuerk was a patient at Norwood Hospital? I was. And approximately what time was that? I think it was approximately 2:30 in the afternoon. And what was your role with regard to Dr. Tuerk at that time? In my role within the organization, anytime there was legal involvement at the hospital, regulatory agencies or police, they would call me and I would be the intermediary between those individuals and the hospital staff. And did you have the opportunity to do that on May 15th? I did. And what, if anything, did you do on May 15th? At approximately, I think I said it was 2:30 in the afternoon, I received a phone call from the director of the emergency department, the nursing director, that they had had a patient come in who was unresponsive, and there were police looking to ask questions specific to that patient. So she called and I presented to the emergency room. And did you have the opportunity to meet with the police on May 15th? I did. And on May 16th, what, if anything, happened on that day? So the following morning, I received a phone call from a detective from Dedham asking me about the status of Dr. Tuerk, who was the patient at the time. And were you able to provide her with information? I was. And what was that information? That he had woken up at some point in the overnight hours. Okay. And were you aware that the police wanted to speak with him? I was. Did you go to the hospital on Saturday the 16th? I did. And did you see Dr. Tuerk? I did. Where was that in the hospital? The first time I saw him, he was in the intensive care unit. And were you able to speak with him? I did not speak with him at that time. All right. Were you able to observe him? I was. And was he awake at that time? Yes. Okay. Do you know about what time that was? I don't know exactly what time, but I believe I arrived at the hospital at around 11:30. And did you have the opportunity to meet with him later in the day? I did. And was that somewhere else or was that still in intensive care? That was in a different unit in the hospital. He was transferred out of the intensive care unit to a medical unit. Okay. And did you speak with him at that time? I did. And what did you tell Dr. Tuerk? I introduced myself and let him know who I was within the hospital and that I was providing him with, at the time, a piece of paper with an attorney's name on it that had called the emergency department the day prior to leave their information for him when he awoke. Okay, and what, if anything, happened with that piece of paper? It was on a Post-it note, and I provided it to Dr. Tuerk. And did he take it from you? He did. He looked at it and then threw it on the floor. And what, if anything, happened after that? I was communicating with the state police detective. He had requested to speak with Dr. Tuerk. At the time, we were in the height of COVID, so nobody was to speak with him until he had been ruled out for COVID. So a COVID test was performed. It was sent to the laboratory to be read. During that time, we essentially waited. He had various consultations in the hospital and care as usual. And did you explain to Dr. Tuerk that the police wanted to speak with him? I did. And how did you do that? So later in the afternoon, approximately 3 p.m., I indicated to Dr. Tuerk that the police were there and would like to speak to him about the day prior and asked him if he was willing to speak with the police. He indicated yes. And when you say he indicated yes, did he say that verbally or by nodding or? He verbally said yes. Okay. At any point in time, did you feel like you were having any difficulty communicating with Dr. Tuerk? No, I did not. All right. And can you describe Dr. Tuerk's demeanor when you were meeting with him? Appropriate. He was quiet, but very polite. Ms. Gilman, could you please put out exhibits number 63 and 64? Ms. Wilkie, do you recognize what's contained in exhibit number 63? It appears to be the family waiting room on the unit. They look identical, so I can't say exactly what floor it was, but it's the family waiting room on the medical unit that Dr. Tuerk was on. Okay, and can we have exhibit 64, please? And do you recognize 64? Yes. What is that? That is the signage outside of the family waiting area. Okay. We can have lights back on, thank you. And what, if anything, happened in the family waiting room? I escorted Dr. Tuerk into the family waiting room when the police detectives were ready to question him. I remained outside, and he was being questioned by police.
And when you say you escorted, how did he arrive? Was he in a wheelchair or in a hospital bed? Or?
Nope, he was walking to the unit. I believe I asked if he was able to walk to the unit. Had he needed a wheelchair, I would have provided one.
Okay. And at any point in time, did he leave the family waiting room?
Yes, they did take a break at one point. I don't know what time that was or after how long, I apologize, but there was a break. I brought him back to his patient room and provided him with a ginger ale.
Just a minute, please, Your Honor.
You may.
Ms. Wilkie, if you thought that Dr. Tuerk was not understanding you, would you have acted differently?
Absolutely.
And why is that?
Because my ultimate goal is to protect patients. And had he indicated that he did not want to speak with police, I would not have allowed that. If we felt that he wasn't able to speak with police, he would not have spoken with them.
All right, thank you. No further questions at this time.
Morning.
Good morning.
So basically what the takeaway is that your job is to, in effect, protect your patients.
Correct.
You do a good job of that.
I think
You talked to
so.
the police in this case?
Yes.
You made sure that Barry was all right and that he was able to speak with the police.
Yes.
And that you did in fact hand him, I guess, a piece of paper with an attorney's name on it.
Correct.
You remember the name of the attorney?
I do not.
The divorce attorney, do you know? And
I don't know.
in any event, you handed it to him and he just threw it on the floor.
Correct.
And in all of his dealings with you, you had no trouble understanding what he was saying, right?
Correct.
His speech was clear. He did
Correct.
not appear at that point to be impaired by drugs or alcohol.
Correct.
Do you know why he was admitted to the hospital?
I do.
And what was that?
He was found unresponsive.
And acute alcohol poisoning?
I did not read his medical record.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not clinically trained, so my job is on the opposite side of healthcare and not on the clinical side.
All right. In all of your dealings with him, he was a gentleman and polite.
Absolutely.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Nothing further.
All right,
Thank
you
you.
may step down. Thank you.
When it was in the
Trooper
bigger,
Kotkowski, please.
here comes Trooper Jeff Kotkowski. He was also involved in the Karen Reed case. He's the guy in the text message thread when Proctor was talking to his buddies about getting whack job medical examiner to change her manner of death from undetermined to homicide. DeChico said, "You should have let me and Jeff do it." This is Jeff Kotkowski. I don't know that he testified in Karen's trial, but maybe we'll recognize him. Let's see. Up. He too is bald. He looks like Proctor and every other state trooper.
Morning. Please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
My name's Jeffrey Kotkowski. My last name is spelled Kotkwski.
I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up a little bit. I don't know if that's fine or not.
I'm going to turn this back to regular speed so we can get a sense of his cadence.
How are you employed, sir?
I'm a member of the Massachusetts State Police
How long have you worked for the Massachusetts State Police?
since March of 2012.
And prior to working for the state police, where, if anywhere, did you work?
I was a police officer at Boston University
How long did you work at Boston University?
for about 4 years.
And what's your current rank?
I'm currently a sergeant.
And what's your current assignment?
I'm currently assigned to the Unresolved Cases Unit.
What is that?
Of course, he got promoted. Of course, he did. You're assigned to the Unresolved Cases Unit. Why don't you try investigating the murder of John O'Keefe? That would be a great unresolved case for you to try and solve now. But he got a promotion. Of course he did. Because they all did.
We conduct investigations on unsolved cases, unsolved homicides, unidentified people, unsolved rape cases
And how long have you been doing that?
for a little over 1 year.
And do you have any particular geographic area that you're assigned to with regard to the unresolved unit?
Yes, I'm assigned to Norfolk County.
And prior to being assigned to the unresolved unit, what was your assignment?
I was a trooper assigned to the State Police Detective Unit for Norfolk County.
And when were you promoted to sergeant?
November of 2024.
Right after the Carey trial ended.
Detective unit with the Norfolk DA's office.
I started there in July of 2016.
And when you were assigned to the Norfolk District Attorney's Office Detective Unit, what were your typical responsibilities?
The primary function for me was we investigated sudden or suspicious deaths within Norfolk County.
And directing your attention to May 15th of 2020, did you become involved with an investigation in Dover?
Yes.
And on May 15th, what type of investigation was it?
At that time, it was a missing person investigation.
And what was your role?
I was assigned to be the case officer.
And when you say case officer, what does that mean?
That means I was assigned to be the lead detective on the case.
Okay, this is interesting. Case officer did not become a thing until they wanted to distance Michael Proctor from being the lead investigator in the John O'Keefe murder case, right? So he was not the case officer in 2020. I'm sure he was called a lead investigator in 2020. Let's see if Reddington picks up on that. Right? Let's listen to that again. There was no such thing as case officer in 2020. I'll bet you anything.
15th, what type of investigation was it?
At that time, it was a missing person investigation.
And what was your role?
I was assigned to be the case officer.
And when you say case officer, what does that mean?
That means I was assigned to be the lead detective on the case.
And would there be other detectives who would be involved?
Yes,
And where would they be from?
from local towns. In this case, it was the Dover Police and the Dedham Police.
And would there be other troopers that would be involved?
Yes,
And where would they come from?
they would come from the unit I was in, the State Police Detective Unit, Norfolk County. And there's also troopers from Crime Scene Services that also assisted in this case.
And can you explain the relationship between the Massachusetts State Police and local towns with regards to missing persons or unintended deaths?
Yes, so we work hand in hand with local law enforcement almost on a daily basis. We work together on all those cases.
Okay. So on May 15th, on Friday, May 15th of 2020, what was the first thing that you did?
The first thing I did was I went to the Dover Police Station.
And about what time of day was it?
It was early evening.
And what did you do while you were at the Dover Police Station?
So I conducted a phone interview with Stephen Rocker. And I also interviewed Vanessa Pettigrew and her husband, Vincent.
And was that on the phone with Vanessa Pettigrew?
No, that was in person at the station.
And when you met with Vanessa Pettigrew and her husband, what, if anything, happened during that interview?
She consented to her cell phone to be extracted, the data from her phone.
And did she sign paperwork in connection with her cell phone?
She did.
Just a minute, please.
Yes.
Mods, let me know if I should turn down my volume. I'm turning my volume down so you can turn yours up because the court audio is not great today. And nobody can find the mic. Well, there's no audio because they're not saying anything right now. Oh, Yeah, you're right. Their audio just went out.
Regard that in person or on the phone? Was that in person or on the phone? Okay. And what, if anything, happened with regard to Kurt Fannin's deal?
It's not you. It's them. Hold on. Let me see if I can find another feed with better audio. Maybe outside the Karen Reed trial, outside the courthouse, there's a ton of media. They might be sucking up all the signal. Hold on. Let me see if anybody else has this. I think Law and Crime is the only one streaming it. Let's see. They muted the troopers. What else is new? They play with the audio in Canoni's courtroom, right? Let's see if it picks up. The captions aren't working either.
Anything else did you do on Friday, the 15th? What were the search warrants for?
It totally went out. It's not us. It's them. At least Law and Crime is calling him the lead detective.
Okay,
Hold
what
on.
was your understanding about whose iPhone
Thanks, Jeannie.
the search warrant was for? Okay. And were those search warrants executed?
Yes.
Approximately what time
There
were
we
those
go.
search warrants executed?
So the search of the hotel and the home on Valley Road was approximately 4 a.m.
So we're now into the 16th?
Correct.
Okay. So 4 a.m. into the 16th, search warrants were executed at Valley Road and at the Residence Inn.
Correct.
And were you present during the search warrant execution?
I was present for the search warrant at Valley Road.
And who else was present at Valley Road?
Other members from the State Police Detective Unit in Norfolk County, as well as crime scene services and local law enforcement.
What is crime scene services?
They're troopers who document evidence with photographs and collect that.
Wow, it's so funny. That's where, where crime scene services didn't go? They didn't go to the scene of 34 Fairview to collect evidence in the murder investigation of John O'Keefe. No, they didn't. The CERT team did. Let's listen again to what this lead detective says crime scene services is brought on to do. Hold on. Then ask yourselves why they weren't called for the murder of a Boston police officer, John O'Keefe.
And local law enforcement.
What is crime scene services?
They're troopers who document evidence with photographs and collect evidence.
And approximately how long were you at 29 Valley Road on the 16th?
Approximately 3 hours.
Okay. And did you do
I just want to
anything
point out
else
that in this
early
case, the
morning
lead
hours?
detective went to the scene of the murder, 29 Valley Road, and he was there for 3 hours. Michael Proctor did not. Did not. Yes. Aiden's here. Yes, that's Kotkowski. Him and DeChico. DeChico said, rookie move, you should have had me and Jeff do it, as in change the manner of death on the O'Keefe death certificate, the whack job medical examiner. That's Jeff. Fantastic, right?
Hours of the 16th.
No.
And what, if anything, happened later in the day on May 16th?
So later in the day, I went to Norwood Hospital.
About what time did you go to Norwood Hospital?
It was late morning, early afternoon.
And who, if anyone, did you meet with when you first went to Norwood Hospital?
When I first went there, I met with some Dedham detectives.
And then after that, well, who were the Dedham detectives?
Detective Poro, Detective Gonski, and Detective Mahoney.
And was that inside the hospital or outside of the hospital?
Outside in the parking lot of the hospital.
And what, if anything, happened after that?
So I met with Ailish, Wilkie after that
And where did you meet with Ailish Wilkie?
in the parking lot.
Was it easy to get into the hospital during that time period?
No,
Why not?
because of COVID-19.
And after meeting with Ailish Wilkie, what, if anything, happened?
I ended up going into the hospital into a family waiting room.
Was that right then or was it later in the day?
It was later in the day.
And when you went into the family waiting room, what, if anything, happened?
So at that time, I had an interview with the defendant.
Okay. And who else was present?
In the room at that time, it was myself and Detective Gonski from Dedham Police.
And how did the defendant end up in the waiting room?
He walked to the waiting room.
How was he dressed?
He was dressed in a hospital gown.
And were you able to see him coming into the room?
Yes.
Did he have any difficulty walking?
No.
And can you estimate his height and weight?
I'd say he's well over 6 feet, well over 200 pounds.
He's enormous. He's like Dolph Lundgren.
All right, Ms. Gilman, could we please have exhibit 65?
Ms. Gilman. Wait till you hear that they recorded Tuerk's interview. It's wild. All the way back in 2020, they had the technology to be able to record his interview.
Number 65. I'm sorry.
So that's a view from the hallway looking into the family room that we were in.
Okay, and could we 66, please? What is in 66?
That's a view from inside of the family waiting room.
And could we please have exhibit 67? What have you seen in this?
Again, that's inside the family waiting room with a view towards the hallway.
Can you explain, was there furniture in this room on May 16th?
Yes, there was just chairs around the perimeter of the room.
How many chairs were there approximately?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay. And when you said they were around the perimeter, where was the defendant seated when you were speaking with him?
He was seated with his back directly to the glass, so it's out to that hallway,
Okay.
So-
And where were you seated?
across from him, facing from the viewpoint here, facing that
The
hallway.
viewpoint that you had?
Yes,
And where was Detective Gonski seated?
she was to my right next to me.
And could we please have exhibit 68? What is this?
It's another photo of the family waiting room.
And could we please have exhibit number 69?
All of these photos of just the waiting room. Could you imagine?
Another photo of the family waiting room with the door shut.
You can have lights back on, thank you.
This is where they
Was
did
the
his interview.
recorded in any way?
It was.
How was it recorded?
What? What?
With the
What?
portable
Hold on, I
audio.
got to rewind that. Was the interview recorded in any way? 2020, and they had a portable audio recorder for the Massachusetts State Police assigned to the Norfolk County DA's office. Bowled me over with a feather. Listen.
Another photo of the family waiting room with the door shut.
You can have lights back on, thank you. Was the interview recorded in any way?
It was.
How was it recorded?
With the portable audio recorder.
Where was the portable audio recorded located in the room?
I believe it was on a table next to Detective Gonski on our right side.
Okay, was it between you and Detective Gonski or farther away from you, closer to Detective Gonski, if you recall?
If I recall correctly, it was on the right side of her on a table.
Okay. And how were you dressed?
I was plain clothes, a shirt, tie, and dress pants.
And did you have any protective gear on at that time?
I was wearing a face mask.
What kind of face mask were you wearing?
And 95.
Okay. And what about Detective Gonski and the defendant? Did they have masks on?
They did.
All right. And did you provide the defendant with his Miranda warnings?
I did.
May I approach? I'm showing you what's been marked as exhibit number 280. Do you recognize that?
I do.
What is that?
It's a waiver of Miranda form.
And do you recognize any signatures on it?
I do.
What signatures do you recognize?
I recognize my signature, Detective Gonski's signature, and the defendant's signature.
What's the date and time?
5/16/20, 5:21 p.m.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd ask to play exhibit number 4, which is the statement.
Can we approach side by side?
Yes.
Reddington approaching. I think the statement is something like 3 hours long. I hope the audio gets better than this. So.
Made by the, we're about to hear
Reddington wants an instruction.
You're about to hear testimony about statements allegedly made by the defendant, Mr. Tuerk, concerning the crime that he is charged with. Before you may even consider any such statement as evidence, the Commonwealth must prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt, number one, that the defendant made the statement that he is alleged to have made, and number two, that he made it voluntarily, freely, and rationally. In determining whether any statement made by a defendant was voluntary or not, you may consider all of the surrounding circumstances. These include when and where the statement was made, the nature of any conversations with the police or questioning by the police, and the defendant's physical and mental condition, including his intelligence, age, education, experience, and personality. Your decision does not turn upon any one factor. You must consider the totality of the surrounding circumstances. So to state the general rule once again, you may not consider any statement that the defendant is alleged to have made unless the Commonwealth has proven beyond a reasonable doubt both that the defendant made the statement and that he made it freely, voluntarily, and rationally. If the Commonwealth has met that burden, then you may consider the defendant's statement and rely upon it as much or as little as you think proper, along with all of the other evidence in this case. Okay.
Your Honor, I apologize. Could you give the additional instruction I should have asked from your side? You can approach if that'd be helpful. Thank you.
He is in custody. He's been in Norfolk County Jail since he was arrested in 2020. Nerd at the cool table.
So, jurors, some of the exhibits that you're going to get in this case have what we call redactions in them, which means that some information was excised or taken out of the exhibit, whether it's a written document, perhaps a audio tape, etc. You are not to speculate as to what was taken out of any one document, and that is because it was taken out for reasons that are not relevant to your consideration of the evidence, and or the information that was taken out is not admissible in the courts of our Commonwealth. So please don't speculate if there's an area that has been whited out or perhaps even blacked out. Don't speculate at all. Okay.
Your Honor, can we pass out the binders at this time for the jurors?
Yes.
And for one for the court. And
No, there was no bail. He's charged
Okay,
with
and this is
first-degree murder. First-degree murder, he's facing life in prison. There was no bail offer. And I don't think that he was offered a plea deal either, but I don't know. They're giving binders to the jury. Okay.
An agreed transcript of the interview that's about to be played?
Yes.
Okay, so jurors, you're going to get a transcript of the interview that's about to be played? And you're going to mark one as well?
I think one's marked already, Your Honor.
That's amazing. The transcript. They don't do that in Canoni's courtroom because I think it's going to be hard to understand, maybe.
All right, so jurors, one has been marked as an exhibit as well, so you'll have that with you when you deliberate.
That's crazy. I don't know how long the trial's supposed to be. Does anybody know in the chat? Have they estimated? Did they tell the jury how long it's going to be? I'm not sure.
All right, Ms. Gellman, thank you.
I'm Detective Deborah Kotkowski. I work out of Dedham PD.
What?
Dedham Police Department.
We just wanted to talk to you. We know the transported from the hotel to Norwood Hospital yesterday morning. We want to talk to you about that, okay? The past couple of weeks. So before we do is let you know that we do have a recorder to record our conversations, okay? And also, before you talk to us, you do have rights. Excuse me. Bad timing there. I apologize.
Dude, really? Your phone's going off in the middle of an interview of a witness? I mean, a potential defendant who's about to confess to a crime?
So Detective, is the recorder on?
Yes, it's on, it's now on.
So I'm just gonna introduce myself on the record, okay? And Detective Gonsky will introduce herself, and we'll have you introduce yourself by just saying your name, your last name, and spelling for us, okay? All right, it is Saturday, May 16th, 5:19 p.m. We are in the second floor of Norwood Hospital. My name is Trooper Jeff Kotkowski. My last name is spelled Kotkowski. I work out of the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. With me here is
Detective Deborah Gonski, Gonski, and I'm a detective with the Dedham Police Department.
And sir, can you say your first and last name for us, please? Ingolf Tuerk, Tuerk. Yeah, Ingolf, like I was explaining to you earlier, we want to talk to you about, the recent past couple days. And before we did, I wanted to read you your rights, okay, because you have rights. So what I'll do is I'll give you a copy of this, and I'll read a copy to you, and we'll have you sign that you understand your rights. So once you take that copy. All right. So you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. That I have the right to talk to a lawyer. If you have a lawyer with me while I'm questioned by the police. That if I cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent me before questioning, if I wish. And then if I begin to answer questions, I have the right to stop the questioning at any time. You understand those rights?
Yes, sir.
All right. Having heard your rights, do you wish to have a conversation with us?
Yes.
Okay. So I just need you to sign that. So I'll give you a pen. So what you're gonna do is get one of that. So next to I, you can just put your initials. Let's stop line that. And I'm gonna fill my name, but my name will be right there with the Trooper Kotkowski, Mass State Police. Okay? And your rights that you said you understood. And at the bottom here where it says signature, you can just sign. And you can get up and speak, so I know it's not the best. There's no table in there. And you put the date, if you don't mind, it's 5/16/20. And
5/21.
it's 5/16/20, it's 5:21 p.m.
21.
Yeah, it's. Thank you. Okay. All right, so Harry, we looked at the hotel record, and it seemed that you checked in around the 8th, and you were booked for another few days. And we know that you have a home in Dover, so if you could just tell us, why you were staying at the hotel, kind of take us through that.
Staying at the hotel because I have to stay away from the house.
Okay.
That's why I'm staying in the hotel.
All right. Why are you away from the house?
Sorry?
Why are you staying away from the house?
As far as I understand, because of the criminal charges have been filed against me with bail conditions.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit more about those criminal charges? What's going on?
My wife accused me of having been violent.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're new to the case, first of all, he sounds just like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Second of all, Katie got a restraining order against him, a 209A order. The Dover police actually helped her with that because she came into the police station and complained that he made allegations of DV. And that's why he had a stay away order, and he was not supposed to be in the house.
She, then what happened? She reported to the police?
Yes.
Okay.
And we decided to divorce and early February, yes.
Early February. And just so we have it right, can you tell us your wife's name?
Kathleen, Kathleen.
Yep.
McLean, Tuerk.
McLean?
McLean, Tuerk.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about that. When did you meet Kathleen?
And did I meet her?
Yeah, when did you meet her? Where? All that?
November 2017.
November 2017. Okay. How did you meet?
Online dating.
Online dating? You remember what website you used?
I believe it was Bumble.
Bumble. Okay. And during that time, were you living in Dover at that time?
Bumble has entered the chat, or fumble, because it's always a miss.
Yeah, you were at the same house on Valley Road?
Yes.
Okay. And at that time, who were you living with?
I'm good.
You were living by yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. So November 2017, you meet Kathleen out on Bumble, and then you guys start dating?
Yep.
Okay. And eventually, did she move in, or do you guys get married? Tell me a little bit about that.
She moved in with her 3 children.
Okay. Can you know approximate time?
I believe it was April 2018.
Okay. And can you tell me the names of her children?
Sophia, Chris, and Sam.
Do they all share the same last name?
McLean. No, they do. Hang on. I think their name is Rocca. ROCCA.
Okay. All right. So you guys meet November 2017, April 2018, she moves in with her 3 children to your home in Dover. Okay. And then you tell me that you had a divorce in February. So can you tell me a little bit about the relationship, what was going on?
The relationship was mostly good. On the other hand, there was a lot of volatility as far as fights is concerned, mostly originating from her in terms of getting emotional, fights.
Yeah.
That I often try to walk away from. But nevertheless, we had a good time, and we talked about marrying. In December 2019, we married.
Okay.
In Las Vegas.
Okay. Okay, so December 2019, you guys are married in Vegas, and you still live in the home in Dover?
Correct.
Okay.
My work situation changed significantly, and it looked like I have an opportunity to work back in Germany, where I'm originally from.
Okay.
And I talked with her about that, and she was not very receptive of me going to Germany, or she going to Germany with me and with 3 children. So there was a lot of talk about divorce, because it doesn't look like that we can move forward together being separated that far away from each other.
Yep.
And I spoke with a lawyer in January about divorcing her potentially. She found out somehow, got very angry, got a restraining order against me, filed for divorce herself, and filed charges against me.
Okay. Let's just back up a little bit. So you say you're from Germany?
Yes.
Okay, when did you move to the United States?
December 2002.
Okay. So did you resign? Were you fired? How would you say?
Mutual agreed to
Part ways?
terminate the contract, yeah.
Okay. And what was your title over there at St. E's?
Chief of Urology until end of 2018.
Okay. And just going back to the absence, when was the absence and how long was that for? Do you have any idea?
Sorry, what?
A leave of absence you took?
I started the 1st of June all the way to December.
Of last, so June 2019 through December 19.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And that takes us to December when you guys end up going to Vegas to get married.
Right.
Okay. Like you said, you're having a troubled relationship. This is recently. I mean, this is only a few months ago.
Correct.
Okay. And ultimately, in January, Kathleen filed for divorce.
I think February, early February.
Early February.
Yeah. So I talked to a lawyer before that, and she found out that I would consider doing that, and then she kind of jumped ahead and did their thing.
Gotcha. So when that all happened, did you stay in the home? Did you go anywhere?
No, she got a restraining order first thing. I had to go.
You had to go, okay. Yeah. Okay, and where did you end up going?
Went first to a friend in town, in Dover.
Friend in Dover, okay. What's his or her name?
Charlie Lax.
Charlie Lax.
Lax.
Okay. And he's in Dover?
Yeah, he lives in Dover.
When would you say that was about?
Again, it was probably the first 2 weeks in February.
Okay.
I was with him, then he asked me to leave. And I went to a friend at Boston, Beacon Street.
In the city?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know who that friend, the name?
Richie Kovitz. Richie Kovitz, C-O-V-I-T-Z, I believe. I'm not 100% sure about this one.
Okay, that's fine.
Then,
so how long were you with him for? About, I know you might not know exact time, but
probably 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay.
Then I went to Germany for a consultant job, mid-March. But then COVID basically hit hard, and it was suggested for a U.S. citizen to come back. So 5 days after I left here, I came back.
Okay.
To the United States. At that time, COVID was significantly around, and no friend would give me any kind of option to go somewhere, so I went to a hotel in Norfolk.
Okay. What hotel was that? Do you remember the name?
St. Hampton Inn.
Hampton Inn? Okay.
I went there.
I think it was the residence.
We're going to ballpark that maybe around like late March?
Yeah, mid to late March.
Okay.
Yes. Then, because
the fact that people are complaining that there's no video of this recorded statement of the defendant is wild to me, because in the Karen Reed case, they didn't record a damn thing with audio, video, nothing. So that's insane. At least there's something that has been recorded in some fashion with the Massachusetts State Police is wild. And understand also they were interviewing him in the hospital, in the family waiting room or family conference room in the hospital. And the fact that they recorded it in any fashion is amazing. So let's be grateful for something done correctly in the death investigation, the murder investigation for Katie McLean.
I don't have an income, and hotel is expensive. I looked for other options to stay. A friend of mine has a camper in Florida and offered to me to go to Florida and stay free at the camper, basically.
Okay.
Which I did.
Sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, it was not my first choice, but I didn't know where to go. Nobody was willing to give me any kind of, I was practically homeless, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, no, I get it.
the hotel wasn't a good situation either. It's expensive, as I said, and there is no real option to book anything or something. So I went to Florida.
Okay. What part of Florida?
Rockledge. That's mid-Florida.
Mid-Florida?
It's
what's that?
East Coast, right? Orlando.
Yeah.
Probably on the East Coast.
Okay. Oh.
So I went there until a week ago, I believe, and I came back out.
Were you driving or were you flying?
I was driving.
Driving.
All the way to New York, and then Beatty would come, his ex-husband, and pick me because I started to have leg issues.
Okay.
My back, nerve issues.
Yeah.
She offered to come. Because as I was in Florida, we started to consider reconciliation.
Oh, so you guys are talking through phone or internet, or how we?
No, it was over lawyers.
Through the lawyers. Okay.
Yes. Through the divorce lawyers.
Okay.
So yes, I came then back out.
Okay, so this is what I understand. I don't want to be mistaken. So you're in Florida, you start speaking to Katie through the divorce lawyers.
The divorce lawyers.
How to possibly get, reunite.
Right. And she was receptive to that idea, and so worked with the lawyers of trying to work things out.
Okay.
Over a post-nup agreement to give her more rights on the house and give us safety and security.
Okay. I see. Yes. something were to go bad again, you guys are gonna go, honestly.
know that she has to occupy the house and can't just be, but she didn't because she ordered a restraining order. I would have picked out, but she was obviously afraid of, not being secure. Which I agree, that's not a good idea as a husband and wife.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, okay. So you start, what do you drive at this point?
I was driving the silver Mercedes,
Mercedes?
GL 550. Beauty kept the car, Jeep. Anyway.
Okay. So you drive back up, you said you having some pain in your leg. Tell me about that. You called Katie or?
No, we checked in with the lawyers and said, yeah, can she help? And then she said, yeah, she can help.
Okay. Again, with the lawyers. And she met you, said in New York. Okay. You remember where that meet was?
No. The outside north of New York, going on the 95 interstate.
Oh, so just on like a rest area or something like that?
Correct.
I see. Okay. And how did that went?
Came on up and drove to the hotel that I booked.
Did she drive with you back? Did you drive alone?
No, she helped drive me.
She helped drive you back. Okay. And how did she get to New York? Who drove her?
My ex-husband.
Okay. What's
Father of my children.
Yep.
Last name is Rocker.
Yep. The first name?
Sorry, I'm holding a blank right now.
Okay.
Good comment, sorry.
Yeah, no, we can go back to it. Okay, so then you, Katie, drive back to the hotel. You check right into the hotel and down? Okay. So that was only, like I said, around the 8th, I booked the 8th.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, all right, so let's start there now. Again, I appreciate all the background information. It's helpful. So did she stay with you at the hotel? Did she go back home? Tell me about that.
She went back home, yeah.
Okay. And did you guys communicate from the 8th on? No.
Yes, we did.
Okay, so you were using the attorneys at that point? You just talking? Okay. By phone? Okay. And how were things? What were you?
Good.
Yeah.
It was going well. She encouraged, we communicated and said, don't worry about this stuff. We're going to work it all
out. Okay. Okay. And were you seeing each other at this time?
Yes.
Okay. How often was she coming to the hotel? Were you going back home? Tell me about that.
I was mostly going to the house.
You're going to the house?
Again, she said, come over, don't worry about it.
Okay. And her 3 kids still living there, right?
Yes.
And how was your interaction with them? How did they?
Good.
Everything was good.
Yeah.
That way.
Yes.
Okay. So that's going on for about a week. And let's get to yesterday. Tell me about yesterday.
What?
Yesterday.
I really don't recall much.
Yeah.
Anything. I must have drunk a lot.
Yeah. But trying to get to how you ended up there.
I can't tell you. I'm sorry, but I can't remember how I got it. When I got it somewhere. Just woke up yesterday.
Just to recap what we know, he was virtually comatose when they found him inside the Residence Inn in Dedham. He said it was the Hampton Inn. It was actually the Residence Inn. There was like a bottle of scotch next to him. And I forget his blood alcohol content, but we went over that in the pretrial, and it was something, I'm going to look it up because now I'm curious, but he was virtually comatose and unresponsive due to alcohol poisoning.
Okay. You don't know how you ended up there?
No, I can't really remember.
Okay. All right. So we did speak to Sophia, Grace, and Sam, and we can't find that. Yeah, so we were hoping, you could tell us.
Again, as I said, I have very difficult memory, get any kind of memory for the last 24 hours. I don't know how much time we went there.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, because, you know, like I said, we're talking kids and tell me this, when's the last time you saw Kathy?
I remember,
Katie.
I don't know exact the day, it was Thursday. We played a game, and this game, I'm not sure what the game name is, and this Grace and Katie and I, that's what I remember.
All right, so,
And then we've been watching TV and, you know, we drank some alcohol. And then I don't even know what happened after that.
okay,
So I ended up in the hotel. Didn't say I was in the hotel, I don't know.
all right, so today's Saturday. So you said Thursday,
I believe it was Thursday, I'm not 100% sure, but I think so.
okay. And so tell me how you guys arranged to meet on Thursday.
Can you?
How did you guys arrange to meet each other Thursday? So you were at the hotel, or you, I mean, how did you guys get?
I was at the house.
At the house. Did you stay at the house Wednesday night?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so you stay over Wednesday night, and then see you there Thursday? Tell me about Thursday. What you guys do in the morning on Thursday?
I'm not sure. Exactly. We typically we'll have some breakfast and take a walk. Walk out, things like that. But again, I'm not recalling exactly what happened on Thursday.
But you did say, so you know,
It was a good day in general, as I can remember. Yeah, and then I guess I said later the day, we played that game.
okay, what games you guys play?
Not sure what the name is of this, you know, it's a board game.
Okay,
I'm not sure what the name of the game.
okay. So this is Thursday, you said you guys are having some drinks.
Yeah, she gave me 2 martinis already before.
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
Martinis.
Martinis, okay.
And then I think we switched to whiskey later. And I can't remember much about that.
Were the kids home Thursday night?
Yes.
Okay. So you guys are drinking Thursday night. Well, somehow you get back to the hotel. So,
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. I can't recall. I must have driven myself, I guess. I'm not sure.
you know what you drove? The vehicle?
Thursday night was the night of the murder. They were playing board games, drinking martinis, and the kids were home. Reminds me of Sarah Boone. Game night, crafts, puzzles.
I think it must have been the Jeep, right?
Jeep?
Jeep Runner.
Okay.
I believe.
Yeah. Why do you think that?
Because I recall that it was the only car that was there. Mercedes was parked at the hotel.
Oh, the Jeep was the only car that was at the house.
The Jeep was at the house, yeah. Yes.
Okay. Tell me about the argument you guys had Thursday night.
The what?
The argument you guys had Thursday night?
Argument?
Yes. Tell me a little bit about that.
I'm sure about that. I'm not recalling an argument. As I said, we played a game that was all fun. And we watched TV. And so, I don't know about an argument.
Okay. What room were you guys in when you played the game? What room in the house? Where were you guys?
Kitchen?
Kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a TV in the kitchen too? Like, did you watch the TV?
The next, room next, it's kind of an open room. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you guys went from the kitchen playing a game, moved naturally into the TV room. Watch. Do you remember what you were watching that night?
I believe Sons of Anarchy. That's a TV show.
Okay.
She loved that show, and we continued watching it.
Okay. You remember what episode or what that was?
No.
What show were they playing? Hold on. Or watching?
That's a TV show.
You were watching that night?
I believe Sons of Anarchy. That's a TV show.
Sons of Anarchy.
Okay. She loved that show, and we continued
Sons of Anarchy has entered the chat.
watching it.
Okay. You remember what episode or what that was?
No.
But you remember watching the Sons of Anarchy, right? All right, and then what? Did you guys eventually go upstairs to the bed? What do you guys sit on the couch? Tell me what happens next.
As I said, I really want more time remembering these, and after that, I really don't. Sorry.
Okay. I noticed you do have some scratches on your legs and your arms.
Yeah.
Yeah, what happened?
I have no idea. I don't know either. I just woke up and it was there. I have no idea what happened.
I see you have some scratches on your legs and your arms. How did that happen? Oh, I don't know. I just woke up that way. Eventually he's going to confess, so listen for it.
Okay, we gotta find her. Where can we find her?
It was hard to understand what he said. He said, listen, we have to find her. Where can we find her? Because at this point, Katie is still missing. They haven't found her body.
I understand.
You gotta help us out, yeah. It's all right. You know, we gotta find you.
I'm sure I never know more. Maybe, I don't know.
I was telling you, the kids looking for everything for her.
Hey, Deplorable Lives Matter. You don't need to police the chat. I have moderators for that, so you don't need to tell people how to behave. If the person wants to use unalive instead of certain words that YouTube doesn't like, I'm not sure why. It's up to you.
They need your help. Where can we find her? Where can we go find her?
I don't even know.
It seems like you guys have been under a lot of stress. You have some work stress, marital stress. I'm not sure what was going on the past couple of days, the past night, but now we're here. Okay?
Yeah.
And she's not. And
I don't really know.
we can get through this. can get through this. I know this is gonna be difficult. There's no way getting around it. We're at the point of our conversation now where it's just a difficult time. And I know you're probably going, through hell right now, and I know you probably feel really bad. And I'm sure it's uncomfortable to stay there without some possibilities about this.
At this point, they still hadn't found her. 13 flags, so they're still looking for her, and they're asking Harry where she is.
So we need you to, put us in the right direction. We couldn't go find her. We can't leave her out there alone, Harry. We can't. I don't know. We can't do that to her, Regardless of what was going on, she's your wife. You love that woman. You guys had some issues. She had 3 beautiful kids, and they deserve to know what we're on this. Her sister deserves to know. Okay. We need you to help us out there. I wish I could.
She's been missing since Thursday night. This is Saturday in the hospital when he woke up from his perhaps coma and was able to speak to the police. So she's been missing 36 hours-ish at this point.
We're a little
behind.
An argument happened in the house. You know that. It broke glass in the home. They got, you're in the Jeep. We want to know where you are. Because like I said, this is about California right now. We're doing the right thing for her at this point.
I don't even know that I was driving around.
Harry gets scrapes up and down your legs and your arms. So you have scrapes up and down your legs and your arms.
No. I have no idea. Sorry.
No one's talked to Kathleen. seen her since Thursday night. Saturday. Okay, we need you to step up right now. We need you to help us out. You're gonna feel better. I know you feel better right now. See it all over. And I just want, you need to feel better. And I feel better. Can you tell us what happened?
I wish I could. I woke up and saw that too. They asked me what happened. I don't know. I said, I have to like it. I don't know. Yes, I'm responsible apparently. I have no idea how that all happened.
We drive a car. Use your cell phone. This day and age with cell phones and video surveillance, cameras everywhere. I mean, we're trying to give you an opportunity, to get ahead of it a little bit. That's what we're trying to do here.
I understand. I understand.
We're not here for, some stupid agreement, And, I'm a homicide detective. Detective from Dedham Police, They said this. And right now, we're trying to give you an opportunity to tell your side of the story. Tell us in your own words what happened. I mean, if you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for our kids.
I really don't know the sun. I decided I woke up. I don't know. Today in the morning, I was or something. I'm not sure again. Nothing is going on.
Do you remember driving back to the hotel that night? You don't remember driving?
I don't remember. I was driving. I don't know.
So the Dedham Police Department got called to the residence inn Friday at 11 a.m. for a well-being check on Kathleen because no one had heard from her since 6 p.m. Thursday evening. When I got there, we located the white Jeep and your Mercedes parked in the parking lot. You told us earlier that you believe that you were operating the white Jeep at one point. The white Jeep was parked between the lines, perfectly fine. There was nothing wrong with the exterior of the Jeep indicating that you may have been intoxicated. So how could you not remember driving that Jeep back to the hotel?
Sorry. I don't know.
Do you remember how much alcohol you consumed at the house that night? Thursday evening?
I think about it. But I'm not sure. Again, I just remember we started off with martini and then I switched to whiskey. That's all I remember.
How many martinis did you say?
2 or 3.
2 or 3?
Yeah.
And then how many glasses of whiskey?
And if I ever really don't know. I don't know.
Did you consume anything other than alcohol?
But I know,
Not that you know of.
You take any pills or anything like that, that say nothing you know, would they read something that you normally take, or?
I used to take some medication over the last several months, antidepressants, yeah, and then the anxiety medication. So I kind of cut it down because I felt much better.
Dude, you're a doctor,
Katie said,
really?
yeah, let's try to
You were
fix that.
taking anti-anxiety meds and you decided to stop because you were feeling much better? And you are a doctor. The reason you're feeling much better is because of your anti-anxiety meds, but you just decided you would stop taking it. They also found like a spilled bottle of low-dose aspirin, remember, on the nightstand in the residence inn.
So I'm not sure, I don't think I've taken anything on that day, and so again, I can't tell for sure.
It's gonna be frank, I mean, telling us you simply don't remember it, it's not good enough. That's just not a good enough answer.
I understand. I don't even remember that I went to the hotel.
Where did everything go down here? It happened in the vehicle? It happened in your home? Did it happen in the woods? Where did it happen? Stop in the bedroom?
There was an argument on the TV show, yeah, I believe that is true, but I'm not 100% sure. They were watching. But I was downstairs. I'm sure so often or something, I'm not sure.
An argument during the TV show?
I believe so, yeah.
Is that what you mean? When you guys were watching TV, you had an argument?
I believe that is true.
Do you remember how the argument started?
Where did it turn physical? Did it turn physical downstairs? Or did it start up in the bedroom?
I remember physically.
Hate corruption, there's no witness. This is the recorded audio statement that he gave the police in the hospital.
Maybe things just got a little out of control, a little bit more serious than maybe a normal fight. I mean, sometimes things that get out of, they just get away from us. And, you know,
I know, but
we don't need to do some things, and sometimes sometimes things happen. You know? One bad night. One bad night doesn't make you a bad person, Harry.
If you're ever confused about what's going on, just read the scrolly thing at the bottom
What
of your
happened
screen.
after you started arguing?
The meeting, don't remember, it was drinking me whiskey, and I think it stopped again. I remember there was some arguing going on earlier. It was mostly her yelling at me for some reason. I'm not sure exactly what that was.
Tell us what happened up in the bedroom.
Tell us what happened up in the bedroom.
Blood on the mattress, Harry. Broken glass everywhere.
Oh, yes, that is some of Katie's friends and family sitting in the rows that the O'Keefe family just usually sits in. To the left is her ex-husband and father of her 3 children, Stephen Rocca. He testified already, and I don't know who the other people are.
Seems like things just got a little bit too much on their hands. You know?
I just remember downstairs, sitting there and drinking whiskey and having some argument with her. Again, it was mostly her. Arguing against something. I'm not sure again what it was exactly. And like I just drank my whiskey and then didn't know that we went upstairs. I don't think so.
The only media in the courtroom is Aidan Carney. There he is, sitting at the high top. And he said that he came in to watch this trial. He was in the chat before. He came in to watch the Tuerk trial because what was going on in the Karen Reed jury selection was boring. So there he is. The only media in the Tuerk trial. Wild, right? Katie was a Reiki master. What did Katie do for a living? She was a Reiki master.
Where was the Jeep parked? Was the Jeep parked in the driveway? Was it parked in the garage?
I'm not sure, but typically it was in the garage. I believe.
Tell us where you went when you left the house that night, Harry.
Oh, I was up the next morning and stayed and looked at the stuff in the river.
What's Katie wearing that night?
I'm not sure.
There's suddenly a very loud white noise on this recording. But yes, it is very sad that there's no one covering this. All the media are covering the Karen Reed jury selection process, which is boring. And according to the judge's order, Canoni, they're not allowed to really report on any of the jury selection process or identify any of the witnesses by describing their looks or anything about them. So why is nobody covering the murder trial of a renowned doctor from Dover who strangled his wife? Justice for Katie McLean. It's outrageous.
We need you to a little bit more honest with us. We know you're in the woods that night. You know. Yeah. You know it. Yeah.
I think he said you were out in the woods that night. We know it. Let me just take it back because he has scratches on his arms and legs and they think it's from brush.
We know you're in the woods that night. You know. Yeah. You know it. Yeah. I know you remember what happened. You may not want to remember what happened. I get that. But I can't go on any longer. Can't.
Her 3 children, her sister, and her mother deserve to know where she is. We need you to be honest with us.
I'm trying. I'm trying.
What happened in the woods?
I don't know. I don't even know where.
You drive deep into the woods or you walk?
I'm sure. I'm sure.
What do you think? I mean, you were there. We weren't.
I don't remember that I did any of this.
We know how you left the area. She fully clothed?
It's in front.
She fully clothed right now?
Like, I don't understand what.
Does she have clothing on when you left her?
We were downstairs.
Everyone, you have the answers right now. You have the answer. You guys were together Thursday night, late. You're arguing. Tell us you had some drinks. And you wake up in the morning and you're in a hotel and she's gone. I mean,
No.
let's just get to it here.
I don't see her look up in this. Look up here.
I know this sucks, you know, it's not the word for it. I mean, she's like, one thing to do now, that's the right thing. It's just to man up, man up. Let her family know where she's at. Let her family know where she's at. We get through this. Help yourself while you're married. No, it's serious. Things don't happen. Can't be up here.
Your Honor, would this be a convenient place to stop and take the 11 a.m. recess?
Sure. Why don't we do that, George? Just leave the transcripts and your notebooks right on your chairs. And we'll take about a 15-minute recess.
Okay, that's Trooper Kotkowski, triathlete 73. We're going to be able to fast forward right through the break. It is wild to me the difference a judge makes. This is in the small courtroom where Karen Reed was tried. For those of you who know, you know. Nina says that Sandra Birchmore update next hearing is April 15th, but then I think you changed it and said it's May 6th. Judge expects both parties to give tentative trial date. That is for Matthew Farwell, who's finally been charged with the murder of Sandra Birchmore. Tracy Fagan says that witness box is a death trap. Thank you. Lucci says, I was assigned to pin it on the girl. This case on the bunny. Thank you for your super chat. Tracy says, looked like they were all rehomed after Karen Reed. Yes, meaning all the troopers. They all got promotions. Imagine that. Case officer means lead detective. Imagine that. For Fox's sake, says, of course, Kotkowski is a bald white dude like every other MSP male officer. Thank you for your super chat. Lucci says, troopers also create evidence. Karen Reed case anyway. Nina says, to be fair to law enforcement, in this case, there was no need to frame anyone, so they probably did a good job. Thank you, Nina. See if we can fast forward a little closer to real time past the break. And thank all of you for being here for Justice for Katie McLean, because none of the media is in this courtroom. They're all next door watching the very boring Karen Reed jury selection that they can't even really report on. So thank you guys for caring enough to watch this trial. Katie left 3 children. And at least one of her daughters had been watching the stream or came in at least to comment to thank us for covering her mother's case. She said it was very difficult to be in the courtroom on Thursday, but she felt her mother's presence. And that is just one of the reasons why we keep the chat classy here, because you never know who's watching. You never know.
Though.
Sergeant Kotkowski, please. Thank you.
You can sit down, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So we're at the top of 26. Ms. Gilman, can you please resume the interview? Thank you.
I'll do the right thing right now. I'll look better. They go in the woods that night, Harry. Harry, you're a very successful man. You told me to chief urologist. Yeah, but you know what? You're a good person. You had a successful career. Came to this country, done very, very well. I saw you guys. You've done very, very well. And this doesn't make you a bad person. No. What happened with you and Katie? They kind of got out of control, can I? Like I said, you can't be defined for one thing. So we're trying to help you out here. We're trying to keep this out of the story out. Do the right thing then. You just want to know where she is right now. Okay. That's it. All right, we know you can't put that in little one. Hey, what's that?
I'm Detective Deborah Gotsky. I work.
So I think at that point they took a 45-minute break and then came back to resume the interview. And I think that's where this is going to pick up. Thanks, Tammy.
Bad person. No. What happened with you and Katie? They kind of got out of control, can I? Like I said, you can't be defined for one thing. So we're trying to help you out here. We're trying to keep this out of the story out. Do the right thing then. You just want to know where she is right now. Okay. Yeah. Alright, we know you can't put that in little one. Hey. What's that? Sorry, I'm sorry, you guys say something.
No, we know you care about her a lot and you love her. And we really need you to do the right thing. We can't have her out there another night, Harry.
Did you hear that? I think he said, I threw her in the pond, and it sounds like he's crying. The jury has a transcript of this recording, which is, wow, imagine that. In the age of 2025, the jury gets a transcript in case they can't hear or understand what is happening. I think he just said, I threw her in the pond. They're going to be able to bring that transcript back with them into the jury room when they deliberate, and it's theirs to keep until the end of this trial. Amazing, right? Listen, I'm going to take it back a second. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Harry, it's the right thing to do. We need you to tell us where she is so we can bring her home to her family.
Yeah, we're all counting up right now. We gotta talk to our sister today. We gotta talk to the kids today. We can't let them, we can't give them no answer. It's, I don't wanna be so blunt, but I mean, we can't go back to them and say we don't know. We can't do that. It's just.
Did you ever hike in the woods near your house? Did you ever go for walks on the trails?
Not near the house, no.
Not near the house? In Dover, have you? What trails do you usually go?
I'm not sure what the name is. That's where the tennis courts are.
The tennis courts?
In Dover, the tennis courts. And there's a trail. I actually did that. We did that with Katie together one day, but it's not easy. Yeah, that's the trails that we typically use.
Do you usually go the same route?
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you know what street it's on?
I think it's Dedham Street, but I'm not sure. Again, there's just one area where tennis courts are, and there's a trail starting in the back corner.
What was your favorite part about those trails?
Favorite part is if it goes all the way up to some small little mountains where you can see Boston.
Oh, really? Does it have a name?
I'm not sure. I don't remember the particular name. Laurel Park, but again, I'm not 100% sure.
Is that the only one you guys would hike at?
That's what I remember, yeah.
How often would you guys go?
Again, it must have been last year in the summer or so. Recently, Katie and I drove to Lincoln to walk in Lincoln, which was new for me. But not in Dover.
Did you go to this trail in Dover often?
Yeah.
How often would you say?
Once a week.
Once a week at least?
boat trail or
Yeah, it's a pretty good
slide?
area.
And that goes up to the,
For those of you asking, the defendant doctor is sitting right here towards the front of your screen with the glasses on, with the hammer haircut from the jailhouse barber. That is Dr. Harry Tuerk, world-renowned robotic urologist. Well, he was at the time. His face was all over billboards in the area. He was from Dover. His attorney is Kevin Reddington, who's standing behind him at the moment.
he said, is he Boston?
I think there's several trails, different colors. And one of them, I'm not sure which one, was people on the up in the mountains.
When's the last time you guys were there together?
I don't really remember exactly, what must have been a while. Months, many months.
Was that a special place for you guys?
In a certain way, yeah.
Yeah, have some meetings, you guys, as a couple, to go there?
We always enjoy, hiking together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Harry, you're up there the other night.
Did you bring her up there the other night?
I don't think so, but I'm not sure.
I don't have a transcript, but I think he just said, I love her. Let me just take that back.
I don't think so, but I'm not sure.
I love her.
Did you bring her up to the mountain the other night, Harry? Did you bring her up to the mountain the other night, Harry?
I think so. What did I say? I don't remember anything.
Come on, Harry, get off your chest. Yes, just get off your chest. You're gonna feel better. You're gonna feel relieved. You're gonna know you did the right thing.
Don't follow the captions, but he's saying, get it off your chest. You'll feel better. Do the right thing.
I don't remember much at all.
Harry, you're up there that night.
He was angry. He was angry for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. Although the day was nice. In the evening, I mean.
Now, and go up there. Make sure you know you're up there. Yes. There's no way to look up there. You don't want to, it's getting, time to get dark. We want to get this done.
Gray space, don't give anybody any ideas. I deleted that.
All right, drove the Jeep up there, I think.
We're up there, can we find her, Harry?
I don't know. I have no idea where she is. All I know is we were sitting downstairs watching TV, and remember that, as I said, she was arguing, she was angry. Very aggressively talking to me about her being angry about stuff, and I was drinking whiskey. And so she was drinking something too, but I'm not sure.
We were downstairs watching TV. We were arguing. She got very aggressive. We were drinking. I think he said I was drinking martinis. She was drinking, I don't know if he said whiskey or martinis, and she was drinking tequila. I'm not really sure. If you're just joining and you don't know anything about the case, the show notes below the video are very extensive on what's going on and what this case is about. I suggest that you read them so that you'll understand why there is a trial, even though he confessed. You will see that in the show notes below. And now he's going to start talking. I'm shocked he didn't ask for an attorney either. Kevin Reddington made motions before the trial to try and get this confession or this statement thrown out, saying he wasn't properly Mirandized. And even if he was, he just had come out of an alcohol-induced coma. You know, his blood alcohol content was still very high, and therefore it wasn't a voluntary waiver of his Miranda rights, but that motion was unsuccessful. And here we are.
Remember what the argument was about, why she was mad?
What's that?
Do you remember why she was mad?
So it was, you know, locating about the same thing that I tried to divorce her in January. She came always back with that, oh no, and although she also suggested that we should just let her go and fix our marriage. Then she came back to that thing always, well not always, repeatedly that she was very angry that I made a decision that I'm able to go to Germany to continue my career.
So they got married in Las Vegas in December 2019. He consulted with a divorce attorney in January 2020. He was very frightened of the pandemic and scared of dying of COVID. He tried to stay at his friend Kurt's house. Remember, Kurt testified. That was the most uncomfortable witness I've ever seen. And then he wound up in Florida in a friend's trailer in February. And then he came back and they started to reconcile. She had gotten a restraining order against him I forget what month, perhaps February, they, as a result of the 209A domestic violence restraining order, they took away all of his firearms. And at some point they decided to reconcile. And part of the reconciliation was that Katie wanted Dr. Tuerk, to Harry, they call him, to sign a post-nup. A lot of people don't know what a post-nup is or that it's even a thing, but a post-nup is similar to a prenup. It is just something that is signed after the marriage. And so she wanted a post-nup. She wanted to be taken care of in the event of a divorce. She wanted Harry to sign over half of the house to her, which he wound up doing. And at the time in May, even though this restraining order was still in effect, he was staying at the house. He had checked into the Residence Inn, and you heard the earlier testimony from the hotel general manager. He said Katie's name was on the room as well, and they were both staying in and out of there. She has 3 children. The biological father, her ex-husband of the children, is sitting in the front row behind where Reddington is sitting. He's got the long beard. His name is Stephen Rocca. He's already testified. And she was staying back and forth with Harry in the hotel. And then Harry allegedly, not allegedly, it's in evidence that he came to the house the night before her murder. He slept there, even though he wasn't supposed to be sleeping there. And then he slept there. Well, he was there on the night of the murder. They were playing board games, drinking, watching Sons of Anarchy. Something happened in the bedroom. Now they're trying to find out where Katie is, because the next morning they find him in the Residence Inn. He had tried to take his own life. There's a bloody knife there. Injuries also to his wrists, which we haven't even heard about yet. He was nearly comatose from the alcohol poisoning. And that was Thursday night into Friday. This is Saturday when he wakes up at the hospital. And now, at some point, he's going to tell them where he put Katie's body. And he had an attorney because he was using an attorney for the divorce
Text he sent to Cal.
and the post-nup.
That's what text he sent to Kyle. To who? Kyle.
Kurt.
Remember?
Not Kyle, Kurt.
I think it's Kyle.
I don't know what text.
It's Kurt. He sent a text message to Kurt, his bestie, who apparently wasn't his bestie, because Kurt was texting Katie behind Harry's back. It's a whole big long soap opera if you're just joining. But the text message said something like, "Sorry, brother. She's a vindictive devil. She fooled us all." And that is what got Kurt and their other friend, Vanessa, involved in this. Like, what the F is Harry talking about? Then they realized Katie's missing. They find out he's at the Residence Inn. This whole thing develops. And back to the confession. Because in 2020, the Massachusetts State Police, Trooper Jeffrey Kotkowski, who was also involved in the Karen Reed trial, knows how to record a statement of a defendant. Imagine.
You know Kyle. Right? I know Kyle. No. From town? What? From Dover, from town? I know. No.
Okay. Okay, Detective Gonski is the female detective, and I think she's closer to the mic because she's much louder during this audio recording. She needs to learn to not shuffle her papers into the mic, because now we can't hear what Kotkowski is questioning Harry about.
Do you remember sending Kurt a text message?
No.
No?
No. Then
At 4:31 a.m. on Friday.
4:30 a.m. on Friday was when he sent that text message to Kurt and Vanessa. Or maybe Kurt sent it to Vanessa. I think that's what happened.
she's angry. She's angry for whatever reason. Although she wanted to fix it, I don't understand.
You sent Kurt a text message at 4:31 a.m. on Friday stating, Kurt, I am sorry, brother, but she is a vindictive devil. She played us all. I am really sorry, brother, but she manipulated us all. Love you. Do you recall that message?
No, I'm serious. I have no recollection having sent any kind of that message. No. No, I haven't sent any message. And you sent that message, I really have no idea. Not too long after you sent the message, you're back at the hotel.
No, Officer Friendly, at this point, they're still looking for her body. They're trying to get him to tell them where she is. And they've said, her children deserve to know. She can't go another night out there. Tell us where she is. Reddington checking his phone. He's watching YouTube.
Oh, yeah, this isn't going away. The only way to get
I really don't know what he's watching.
headed in the right direction. It's just behind us, so let's talk about it. And they said that she was angry, and that's the last I knew. I'm not sure if she walked away or just sitting there.
Wait, I gotta take that back. I'm not sure what happened. She was just sitting there. Hold on. Don't rely on the captions. They're wrong.
Just sitting there. I'm not sure if she walked away or just sitting there. saying that she would leave the home without a possible home.
She wouldn't leave her kids.
They want her kids to have, we can't do this with the kids. They've been doing all the best they have.
What do you think? I don't understand.
Did you tell us what happened? Did you tell us what she was?
We need you to tell us what happened. We need you to tell us where she is.
I want to find her quickly. You were on top of that mountain that night.
What's that?
You were up on that mountain that night.
We know you were up there for a couple hours. You were up on that mountain for a
I'm confused too. Love my flop says, I'm confused. He said I threw her in the pond. They're acting like they didn't hear him. Agreed. Did they not catch it? And we caught it on the audio, but they didn't hear it? I find that hard to believe. But then again, they should be saying, right? What pond? What pond? What pond did you throw her in? But that's not where they're going with this. So your guess is as good as mine.
couple hours that night. You were up there for a while. Where can we find her up there?
I don't even know when I was out there for a couple hours. It's a good woman. I don't know. History. What is today?
Today's Saturday evening now. Let's go back to the argument that night, watching TV. So you need to go back to the argument, watching TV, and take us through what happened.
Again, I'm not sure we call it in words, but to meet with them on the same topic that she had a hard time getting over the fact that in January I was talking to a lawyer looking into divorcing her. And then she believed I would sort her out, which was not what the plan was. Or the idea, there was only a plan actually. It was just playing this out because it's a potential projection in terms of what I'm supposed to do or he's supposed to do. So I think that was the other one in terms of still being angry that I tried to pull myself. Yeah. But I'll ask for it. Why wouldn't you come to me? You know. Back then, December, January.
What happened next?
Just changing. Maybe you have more argument. I don't know.
I'm so sorry, Julie.
She hit you hard at night?
I don't think she did.
Did she hit you, Harry, that night? He said, I don't think she did. He was in the hospital because he tried to take his own life with a knife and a bottle of scotch or whiskey.
So that's when I remember she was angry, really angry, and I didn't understand. From all kinds of words. I mean that. That words.
What'd she tell you? What'd she say to you?
Not sure. Motherfucker or something like that. Fuck you off, fuck you. And I said, oh, that was great.
She become violent?
Not sure. Something like that.
Did she become violent? He said, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a slap or that she did a punch?
Something.
With her hand or her object?
Maybe it was a glass or something.
So you have to defend yourself. You got hit down with a glass. It's glass all over the bedroom. Glass.
Mm-hmm.
There was glass all over the bed, he said.
Maybe I did defend myself, I don't know.
Naturally, anybody wouldn't get hit with a glass. Like I said, there's glass everywhere. about how you had to defend yourself? What happened? Sounds like you had no choice but to defend yourself.
You always have a choice, no?
What's that?
You always have a choice.
Yeah, but
Sounds like you had no choice but to defend yourself, and he says you always have a choice. Hmm.
She's a beautiful woman, but she had her volatility and scenarios always kind of down. I was very forthright. Further, you know,
yeah. It seemed like you tried real hard when you gave her that beautiful home. And you obviously provided pretty well for her. And gave her a good life.
I did.
Sounds like
I got kicked out.
You gave her a good life, a good home. He said, yeah, and I got kicked out of it. We don't hear what he said before that.
yourself. Sounds like you had no choice but to defend yourself.
You always have a choice, no?
What's that?
You always have a choice.
Yeah, but
She's a beautiful woman, but she had her volatility and scenarios always kind of down.
She was a beautiful woman, but she had something. It's always been a problem. I'm not sure what he said.
I was very forthright. Further, you know,
yeah.
Further, you know,
yeah. It seemed like you tried real hard when you gave her that beautiful home.
Volatility. Yeah.
And you obviously provided pretty well for her. And gave her a good life.
I did.
Sounds like
I got kicked out. I'll do it again. I felt beautiful for that. Let's forget about it. Sorry.
yeah, even after all that, you were willing to go back and try to make it work.
I did.
So it sounds like it.
Right. We really did.
Good.
What you're saying, it sounds like that the other night you just kept this. Yeah, you know, just being volatile, like you said, right? Just,
It was volatile, like you said, right?
You're crushing up the top. I'm sure you just happen to be sitting on your first couch, you know?
Sorry?
I'm sure you just happen to be sitting on your own couch, you know? Or you want to deal with, you know, an argument.
No, I didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah. Probably just happy.
No interest in arguments anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure you just happy to be back in your home.
He's He said I had no interest in arguments.
True.
Yeah, no,
So, since a long time, since 3 months, I felt somewhat more peace that I wasn't running around trying some kind of shelter and protecting myself from COVID-19 is nobody helping. But again, that wasn't the point. I really appreciated that she provided a home again. We didn't like to help it at all. Let's make it work, let's have peace, and let's forget about all that. Those words actually several weeks back, instead of clean slate, just let heal and not talk about the old stuff, but she couldn't let go. She came up with the resentment feeling that she still had, and she said, I have to talk about it. And I have some resentment too. Let's just go away for now. Let's see how it goes. Yeah.
Lots of being trying. It sounds like the argument was unavoidable that night. There was no getting around it.
No, getting around it.
I mean, obviously she was fired up. I mean, she hit you.
Obviously, she was fired up if she hit you. I'm kind of surprised about some of the comments on in the chat, especially since I said at the beginning of this stream that Katie's daughter, Sophia, has been watching this channel and was really happy that someone chose to cover her mother's case and that people were taking an interest in it. And she misses her mother every day. And it was very difficult for her to be in the courtroom on Thursday, but she felt her mother's presence with her. So I'm going to ask you again, kindly, that if you can't say anything nice in the chat, and if that you're going to choose to victim blame and say unkind things about the mother of a child who is watching this stream, I'm going to ask you very nicely and with love to please take your comments over to Law and Crime, where they tolerate that kind of thing. You never know who's watching your stream until their children tell you that they're watching. And before you type something in the chat, please ask yourself, would I like Katie McLean's daughter to read this about her mom? This is not about freedom of speech, okay? This is my channel. Keep it classy and give me a break with some of the comments. Wow. I personally don't care what Katie McLean did. She did not deserve to be murdered, okay? Unbelievable. You have the right to your opinion, but you don't have the right to type a nasty opinion and say mean things about a murder victim just because you think you can. That's not what we do here. We have twice the amount of people watching in this stream than Law and Crime does in their stream, and there's a reason for that. Thank you.
What happened after she hit you?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
saying their belongings are all in the house.
Somebody enlighten Kurt about the logo on my hat.
Don't shoot her left out of pocketbook, phone, especially their kids. I don't think he meant to hurt her. We're trying to make things better. Anything's been spot on and yeah. Things just get a little too out of hand that night. The booze is flying, she's angry. We're trying to make things better. It's like a friggin' perfect storm, you know, to go.
What happened after she hit you with the glass?
I'm sure she did. Something that I don't know.
Something that was made out of glass?
Just got an email from my yoga studio about Reiki training. Wow, that was odd timing. Thanks, Kylie, for the update. The clerk has confirmed that one juror has been chosen so far per Ted Daniel in the Karen Reed trial. They got one. You got one.
You want to go through this with it? You want to retrace the steps with it? You want to do more. You have to know something.
You remember the text or something.
You have a text. Yeah, this is the text. Yeah, just read the text again. So, rewrote.
This was the text that you sent to your friend Kurt at 4:31 a.m. on Friday. I'm just going to read it to you again. It says, Kurt, I am sorry, brother, but she is a vindictive devil. She played us all. I am really sorry, brother, but she manipulated us all. Love you.
It was arguing about them. That's all I'm doing. As I said, not constantly, but repeatedly going back to the time when she was so angry about, what I did and what I've done, about talking to the lawyer about the divorce. And she believed I was going to throw her and the kids out, which is not really what I don't mind. If it would have all happened, my son would have been end of school year, and they're obviously all finishing. I'm actually do go to Germany and sell a house later than a year and then go. But she believed something different. And she was very angry, and that came on over and over again. It's like she was trying also to reconcile and saying, let's do, let's have a clean slate. Let's not talk about all this stuff all the time.
Why did you think she was being vindictive?
She would tell that about herself.
She would say that about herself?
And sometimes actually, and then disappointed way about herself, because she would go all the way to pay back if somebody did something wrong to her. The one of her favorite saying was, you fuck me, I fuck your daughter. So,
Did you ever feel like she was being vindictive to you?
yes. There was an episode early in our relationship where we had an argument also early on, I'm not sure, a couple months in. And that was in the bedroom, and I went downstairs. There was just a verbal argumentation going on. And had a couple of drinks and looked on Bumble around. And she found out because, I don't know, Bumble, or they swipe and then you're kind of matching.
Yep.
And I just didn't talk to anybody. I just looked at him and swiped from left to right. And apparently, when I didn't even realize until the next morning when I actually checked what I was doing, that I had matched with one of her girlfriends and said,
Oh, he was on Bumble when they were in a fight. And the next morning she checked and he was just swiping left or right. And I think they were living together. And the next morning she looked at his phone and found out that he matched with one of her girlfriends. Okay.
but I didn't talk to her. It was just the swipe match. And she was very angry about it. I called her right away, apologized, said sorry, that was just stupid stuff. I didn't really think much about it. And then she signed up on Bumble and actually matched with guys and talked while I was sitting right there, just saying, feel how it feels. And so I didn't want to talk to anybody, but she would actually talk.
Okay.
I found that a little vindictive instead of just letting go, and then but a small, unimportant episode, or in particular, if there was no conversation with anybody going on, I'm saying more talking or no dating or something. Anyway, I don't think the restraining order was necessary, for example. I wasn't, any kind of could have handled divorce on the move like other couples and then figures.
He didn't think the restraining order was necessary that she took out against him.
First thing she did. Restraining order. Some of the prior episodes were related to that. It's not an excuse, but getting, hope all the time. You take your phone away and say, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Let me see what you're doing. Let me see who you're talking to. It's a move. But that frustrated me. It was frustrated me. It was time that she continued to do that. Although there was no evidence for her at all, or I would have done anything.
Well, I beg to differ, Harry. I think there might have been some evidence. She said he kept taking his phone and looking at it all the time, and there was no reason to. But didn't he just tell us that she found out that he was still on Bumble and they were living together, and he actually matched with her girlfriend? And so, yeah, I'm not buying what he's selling. But he also does not seem very distraught. He clearly knows that he killed her because he said earlier, I put her body in the pond. And also, he's going to testify. Kevin Reddington said in opening that he's going to testify. So we're going to hear from him, from his own mouth. That'll be interesting. I did hear that the Canton audit came out. It's 206 pages. I'm with you, so I have not had a chance to read it. At least 10 people sent it to me, so do not feel the need to send it to me. I have it in my inbox. I did an entire live stream this morning, and I'm already into this one for 3 hours. So I'm sure someone will be covering the Canton audit today. But right now, I'm not breaking from my focus on justice for Katie McLean. So let's try and get back to this for now.
But she was very easy to believe. She was very easy to believe that I was fooling around about her, which I did not do. Sometimes she would drive up on me when I said, hey, I have a little thing going on with a friend. We're going to have some burgers. And she didn't believe me. Then she followed me. Because she believed I'm on a date. I was meeting with a fellow, it's a friend, a male friend, and I had a burger. All this kind of stuff, saying that kind of builds up this time that you feel, what are you doing? Why are you so distrustful? Why are you worrying all the time about me or you and me and things like that? It's one of the big problems in that relationship, that there was very little trust with each other in terms of, being faithful to each other. And again, I never really cheated with him at all.
Again, I never cheated on her at all. Is that what he said?
So she has that. She knows that herself, and she would actually mention that. Except, sometimes I think it goes a little bit overboard. And be that I'm going for the full payback and beyond, just because I'm angry about certain things.
What makes you feel as though the restraining order was unnecessary?
So again, I didn't see the need for that, because the episodes that were prior to that was, not immediately, it wasn't right there, and then she had to pull a restraining order. She should have put the restraining order out of, in my opinion, she wasn't afraid of me. She was not. She would actually argue with me even, the night before or 2 nights before the whole divorce thing happened. And as I said, if I did push her, it was typically related to something that, again, she got my phone again and checked it out without me giving permission to do that in terms of, yeah, do it or not. And again, there was nothing in there anyway, but just the fact that she constantly did that. So I don't know. To me, it didn't feel, it was an immediate reaction to finding out that I'm looking into divorce, not because there was a violent saying, and then she said, I don't need to file a restraining order. And that's what I'm trying to say, that there was time, significant time in between. and I looked into divorce, not she. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
she knew that. She found that actually out. Then retaliate in terms of now it was restraining order, you need to get out of here. And then following up with charges of stuff that was told, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I didn't say that. But the restraining order was clear. You just remove me from the house just because. It's a very passionate relationship with both sides, kind of thing. I'm sure that makes sense to you guys.
A very passionate relationship.
Should be all in.
A very passionate relationship on both sides. Okay.
Very, very loving, and she could be very angry. Obviously, you could. I thought you really have a chance. Put that together. I'm trying to remember.
No, I can see it. I can see it.
I'm trying.
I know.
Again, as I said, there was arguments.
I mean, are you all concerned? I mean, think about what we're talking about. Are you concerned? I mean, are you concerned about what's going on? I mean,
Kotkowski saying the quiet part out loud. Are you even concerned? Are you even concerned about what's going on? He's like, I'm trying to remember. But you're right. He's right. He does not even seem concerned that his wife is missing. He's making a whole lot of excuses for himself.
Absolutely, I'm concerned. No, you wanted to check out. Okay. We didn't know the collection got a text. I don't know how I got to the hotel. I don't know.
so you're gonna. That's not that. You're up there.
No. I don't know. It's a pretty long hike, so I'm not sure.
Did you drive part of it or all of it?
I don't know. Maybe don't. Can't remember. I remember again arguments happening kind of in and out. The other didn't call names, as I said, because she was angry. I didn't say or behave the way that she wanted to, or I'm not sure. Typically, it does happen when she has a lot of on board. So I see she jumped off or something during the game, and you doubt the game. That is one. And she turns off and go with anger.
Did she get out of control? Maybe she may have been there, but was she out of control?
Did she get out of control?
Did you have to keep your hands on her to calm her down or protect yourself?
Did you have to put your hands on her to calm her down or to protect yourself? I think we may be nearing the confession. It was a 3-hour interview, but I think there was a 45-minute break at some point, and so I think we picked up after the break, so I think we should be nearing the end of it. Toxic relationship, maybe.
I said, we just want to find her. We want to find her tonight. It's been a day and a half now.
She's gone. I'm sorry, guys.
Where can we find her?
Where can we find her?
She's got several. We just want to bring forward the little kids. That's what we want to do right now. That's our goal. We can't do it without you, without your help. It's helping Larry. Help me out there. Help me get to go to this tonight. Help me out. Tell me something you can remember.
Because that little pieces, so arguing.
Luckily, they have a transcript. Coach Karen.
I know you're trying. I can see you trying. I know it. I know it.
Must have somehow. Speaking somewhere, right? It's so close. It's hard.
No, take your time. I know this is difficult.
medical examiner is tomorrow.
We would have an opportunity with the boss. Did you hear back? Tell me about the matter. I said, tell me about it. Sorry, I'm excited, he said. So we should come back. Get you with the glass, you guys upstairs or downstairs? So we're upstairs. Upstairs. The bedroom? Your bedroom? You're bleeding?
John Miller, I think that's a good point. He says, I don't feel it's first degree. His state of mind, she was texting him. She was texting with his friend and she was living in his house that he paid for and he wasn't allowed in, all because he got drunk and got married in Vegas. And I might agree with you if we find out that on the night in question, he just found all that stuff out and it caused him to snap, right? But if he knew all of that stuff for a while, it looks to me more like premeditation. So I think that's a good point.
What happened? Tell me how you think you heard it. Go ahead.
I don't think I did or something.
I believe here.
One thing I did.
Yes, you did. Huh? Did you grab it? Need to stop them?
Probably.
Do you know where you grabbed her?
Okay, he said he grabbed her. Okay, he grabbed her. We got that. I didn't hear that part because my mind was wandering, and also it's hard to hear. Let's take it back a sec. I don't know why they don't put the voice recorder closest to the defendant who's confessing instead of the Detective Gonski, who's also probably loud in real life. We saw her testify.
Need to stop them?
Probably.
Do you know where you grabbed her?
It's gone. That one.
The throat?
When they grab you, remember what happened next?
Maybe one must have made snap or something. I don't know.
You hit the bed, you look in the bathroom, in the closet.
Do you remember what happened next? He said something snapped or something. I hope he didn't mean her neck, but let me take that back a second.
Maybe one must have made snap or something. I don't know.
You hit the bed, you look in the bathroom, in the closet.
I was on the bed area, but I'm not sure if you were in the bed.
What?
I said, I think it was in the bed area, but I'm not sure if you were in the bed.
He's in the bed area.
I'm not sure. It's in the red one, I believe. sure.
I was just thinking the same thing. I wish we had the transcript we could read along.
What happened after you grabbed her?
She passed out, and she fought back. What do you think? What happened?
Did she pass out? Did she fight back? What happened? The jury has a transcript, yes. They each have their own copy, and they can bring it back to the deliberation room when they're done.
What did she do back? Right. Yeah. Do that. We're gonna take a short break. It's 7:29 p.m. We'll stop the recording now. Okay, it's Saturday, May 16, 2020. It's 8:12 p.m. We are restarting our interview. We're in the second floor of Norfolk Hospital. My name is Trooper Kotkowski, KOT, KOWSAI. I work on the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. With me here is Detective Rich Fuller of Dedham, PD. And we're with Ingolf Tuerk. Ingolf, can you just spell your last name for us?
T-U-E-R-K.
And for the record, Ingolf, we've been calling you Harry. That's okay with you, that's just the nickname, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we're going to continue our conversation that we took a break from. So, Harry, I just wanted to touch upon some of the coverage going with the hotel the past week. And let's just start with Thursday. All right, today's Saturday, 2 days ago Thursday. Now, earlier you said you thought you may have spent the night Wednesday to Thursday at the house in Dover.
Yes.
Did you go to the hotel on Thursday in the morning? You remember going to the hotel?
I think I did on the way from Staples, yeah.
Okay.
But again, it's difficult for me to really remember stuff, but I think I did.
Okay, so you think Wednesday night you sleep in Dover, Thursday sometime in the morning you go to Staples?
I had to go to Staples, fix things up, yeah, in Dedham.
In Dedham?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you think you went back to the hotel?
I actually briefly went to the hotel, not exactly why and what I was looking for, but I think I did.
Okay. What were you driving when you
The Jeep.
you driving the Jeep? Now, I know you told me before you drove the Mercedes up from Florida. Were you, the past week, have you been driving the Jeep often? Like, how often were you driving the Jeep?
Pretty much every day.
Driving the Jeep every day? Okay. And the Mercedes been where?
At the hotel?
It's parked at the hotel. So you're taking the Jeep from the hotel, Dover, and wherever else you go.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what door will you primarily use to enter the hotel?
What door?
What door? Would you go to the main lobby every time?
Yeah.
Okay. And how would you exit your room?
Sorry?
And what route would you take exiting your hotel room?
Same way. The elevator and then through the main lobby.
Okay. So you never took the stairwell to the, just to the right side?
Yeah, it faces the main road, which is on.
So you never took the stairwell, you always take the elevator down to the,
Yes.
to the lobby and move that way?
Yeah.
But Thursday about noon, you think, Carrie, you went to the hotel about noon, right?
Yeah. Sounds about right.
No, I just want,
Late morning or something?
yeah, that's the time you swiped in your room on the cards. I just looked, yeah, it was 12:30.
Okay.
I know that's not something important in my overly, right, but yeah, Thursday, within Thursday about 12:30.
Are you know why you went there, grab a bag or something, you know?
I'm sorry, I think I was looking for sunglasses or something. I'm not sure exactly why. I remember I went looking for something, but I can't recall exactly what it was. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. And that was the only time you were at the hotel on Thursday, correct?
Correct.
And then you went back to Dover?
Yes.
And you spent the rest of the day in Dover, right?
Correct.
And had Katie been driving the Jeep too, or just you?
Sorry, what?
Was Katie driving the Jeep too, or just you?
I believe yes.
Yes?
Yeah. But she wasn't leaving the house much because of COVID-19.
So she would just take it to run errands and stuff like that?
Yeah. Although again, I was running mostly errands right now.
So for the past week, you've been mostly in that Jeep?
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about, the scratches in your arms and legs. Would it be okay with you if I took a couple photos with my cell phone? So we have that on record? That's okay with you?
I don't know. So should I do something else? I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Asking so much. Yeah.
I mean, I would like to just document that you have scratches on you with a photo.
Yeah.
So I'm asking you if you would mind if I take a photo. It's okay? All right, let's just do that real quick to get that out of the way. You mind if you take your socks off? Yes. Start going a little bit. Yeah. Is it your right leg here, please? You mind taking the socks off? Let's just see your arms. You lift your shirt up and touch your biceps so I can see if you're doing one strap. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you just open up the hands for me? Can you bring it over?
They met on Bumble, for those asking.
Okay, let me see your right arm now. Can you lift your shirt up so I can see your arm now? There's no more stretching up your arm, right?
No.
the attorney hand over, please? Okay, I know you said you got a little cut on your forehead. You think that might have been from possibly glass, not kind of sure.
I'm not sure.
Whichever
But with something.
Sounds like in there, okay? Not quite. Yes. That's it.
This one. Oh, yeah. The other switch. So,
Yeah. What? You take that way? But, yeah. That's it. Wow. That's it right there, right on your left side. You ever read that too? Oh, yeah. You want to do that for me? I'll put you here over.
Sounds like now they're discussing the injuries to his body, asking him where they came from.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Well, I noticed when you looked over your left hand, you had those cuts in your wrist. You don't know how that would happen? No?
I wouldn't remember.
His cuts to his wrist, they were self-inflicted. They found the steak knife in the hotel room. It was bloody.
You think that was self-inflicted?
Looks so very good.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. You don't know? Do you know when that occurred?
I really, yeah, I don't know. I really don't remember. It's a lot of stuff.
Gentlemen, could you
Are you
pause, please? Your Honor, would that be a convenient spot? Place to
Sure.
stop for lunch?
Yes. 850.
Yes, the top of page 51.
All right, Vorres, gonna take the lunch recess.
All right, please, for the next.
What a difference a judge makes, huh? This is Judge Mark Hallal. He is the judge in the Ingolf Tuerk murder trial, which is happening in the courtroom next door to where Karen Reed's jury selection is going on today. We saw Aiden Carney come into the courtroom to watch a bit of the Tuerk trial because he said when he came into our chat that it was getting a little bit boring over there in the Karen Reed jury selection room. And so he came in to watch the Tuerk trial, and hopefully he'll report on it because Katie McLean and her story does deserve to be told. She deserves to be remembered. And this trial, there was no other media in the courtroom for the murder trial of Dr. Ingolf Tuerk, which I found a little bit wild and mildly disturbing, especially since they can't really report very much on what's happening in the Karen Reed jury selection. So there's that. The Canton police audit did come out today. One little nugget that somebody, my paralegal, sent me. On page 64, this gem is found, quote, the innovative use of a leaf blower to systematically search through the snow-covered crime scene was instrumental in uncovering evidence near Mr. O'Keefe's body. Let that sink in. The audit committee found the use of a leaf blower to be innovative. Innovative. And so there's that. This trial is scheduled to go, the Tuerk trial is scheduled to go tomorrow from 9 to 1. So it'll be a half day. And then there is no court on Thursday or Friday. Nope, it's in there. Check it out. It's on page 64 of the Canton police audit. That'll be interesting. I haven't read it. It's 206 pages. And I'm sure it's chock full of, I don't even know what, because I haven't had a chance to look at it because I've been here with you. Thank you, Lisa, for your Venmo, who says thanks for everything you do, also known as Goldie. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right, let's see something else here. That somebody just brought to my attention. Oh, wow. Oh, well, this was reposted by Aiden Carney, and it said, this is why here, let's put this up, because Just South of History tweeted this, and then Aiden retweeted it. And so this is pretty awesome. And this is exactly what we were just talking about. And I don't know if Just South of History is here in the chat, but let's see this. She tweeted, this is why we call him Journalism Jesus. In a world where no one else gives a shit about the story, Dr. Turtleboy does. God, I pray more men like this rise up. And there he is, sitting, the only media person in the media booth at the Tuerk trial. Praise be. Under her eye. Page 7, poor babies, they're mean to us, says Double Trouble. Is that also in the Canton Audit Report? All right, I'm going to take a read through. I'm going to digest it. Here's the number for the National Domestic DV Hotline for anybody who needs it, please. Many of my viewers have told me that they have used this resource and that it is invaluable, and you too can get out. You just need the help, and you need a plan, and you need, they're there, and they do an amazing job from what I hear. I don't have any personal experience or know anybody who does, but from what I hear from you, it's an amazing resource, and they will help you. I need to go run the mommy Uber and do some other things for the rest of this afternoon. What we will do is come back and cover the Tuerk trial again tomorrow live from 9 to 1. It's only half day. If you choose, you should go watch the rest of this afternoon over on Law and Crime. Just fast forward yourself through the lunch break, through the fan, and then hear the rest of the recording. I will recap it with you tomorrow, whatever happens this afternoon. And then Thursday and Friday, there will be no court, but I'm sure there will be plenty of Karen Reed documents to go over. And as Nikki S says, we are here for you, Sophia. Sophia, if you are watching, Sophia is Katie McLean's daughter, and for your siblings. And we're sending you all the love and prayers, as Jeannie says as well, to Katie's children. If you're watching, please know I'm sending you love. Little Cupcake reminds us that Katie McLean grew up in Belmont. She owned a house in Sudbury with 3 beautiful kids, so she already had a good life. Now she has no life. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for taking an interest in this case. Thank you for helping us try and get justice for Katie and to push the story out. There's not a lot of YouTubers, I don't think, covering this. I think Broken Baker is the only other one that I am aware of. Law and Crime has it, and we had double the amount of viewers that Law and Crime had. So thanks to you all for being interested in this. Please smash the like button on your way out. Please do all the things that YouTube likes. Please, thank you for thanking me. Really, it shouldn't be necessary. It should be obvious, right? Pose Raven, it should be obvious. Do all the things YouTube likes, hit the like button, push out the story on Katie McLean, that this is going on in Norfolk Superior with a judge who is amazing, and what a difference a judge makes. And if Karen Reed had a judge like Judge Hallal or Judge Sisitsky, who was handling the Rule 17 motion in Karen's case the other day, or Judge Doolin, who has been handling Aiden Carney's case, how much different would the Karen Reed trial have looked? Would we be sitting here today on April Fool's Day of 2025, a full year later, nearly, from the beginning of the persecution of Karen Reed? Would we be sitting here again today if Karen had a different judge? I submit to you, probably not. Under her eye, Kim Jong Kanone. It's like The Handmaid's Tale, aka Aunt Lydia. Until I see you in the morning, my friends, stay cool, stay kind, stay classy. It's not hard, really. It is so not hard. I love you with all of my heart. And I thank each and every one of you for spending your day with me today. Peace.